it's Emily and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're just joining or if you're new here, new to my channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below and click the bell notification if you want to be notified of my latest videos. If you're joining for another video, thank you so much for following along on my journey. It means a lot to me and this should be a really interesting video, so let's go ahead and get started. So I made a mistake the other day, which happens, but I brought a pair of Christian Louboutin shoes home from the thrift store and realized they were not authentic shoes. I wasn't sure, but it had a lot of the markings of Christian Louboutin shoes when I found them at the thrift store. So I brought them home, and after talking to a few friends, a few people on Instagram, and getting them authenticated, I realized they were fake shoes. So I've learned a lot over the past week about this brand, and I thought it would be interesting just to share with you a couple tips that are like fast tips to authenticate Christian Louboutin shoes at the thrift store, as well as the history of the brand. So hopefully you can learn something and learn from my mistakes. I've been reselling for a couple years, but we all make mistakes, and I just thought this would be helpful. Hopefully this will help you from making the same mistake as me when you're at the thrift store. So just a little bit about the Christian Louboutin brand, because I did a little bit of research on this. When I find high-end designers or brands that are new to me, one thing I like to do is watch YouTube videos about the designer or about the brand and educate myself in case I ever find that brand in the future. So Christian Louboutin is a French designer, and he makes shoes that are very high-end, very luxury shoes. It was originally inspired by red nail polish. So the designer of the brand, Christian Louboutin, he saw that a lot of women were wearing just black or neutral colors, but they would have red as their accent color, like on their nails. And so he had the idea to put red on the soles of shoes. And that's actually trademarked in quite a few countries. And it obviously is very recognizable because a lot of celebrities wear the red soled shoes, and you immediately know what brand that is. Just a fun fact for you, one of the original mainstream television shows that showcased this brand was actually Sex and the City. There's this scene where Carrie Bradshaw and Samantha Jones are looking in this shop window and they see a pair of Christian Louboutin shoes, and Carrie remarks, "Oh, I'd really like that pair of shoes. They're so classy." And that's one of the first times they were in mainstream media. Of course, there's been tons of celebrities that have worn them over the years on red carpet events, and they're very recognizable now, but I just thought that was an interesting fact and that was kind of cool to learn. With that little history lesson, let's go ahead and get into my quick tips for authenticating Christian Louboutin shoes. I still have the counterfeit pair for this video. After this video, I'm just going to throw them away, but I kept it for this video in hopes that it helps you. And these are just all meant to be really quick tips to tell if a pair is fake or real. Some of them I got from one of my friends, Morgan, who is very good with Christian Louboutin shoes. So let's go ahead and get into it. Here is the pair of Christian Louboutin flats that I purchased, and these are a counterfeit pair. So the style that these are meant to be is the Pigalle spike flat in black, and I'll leave the name down below because I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that right, full disclosure, but you can see it's got like this spike all around it, and it's just meant to be very flashy. I really do like this design. So it's an actual design that Christian Louboutin did make. Obviously, I looked that up. I did some research to find that out when I got home, but that is the first thing to check. Make sure the pair of Christian Louboutin shoes that you find are a pair that was actually made by the designer. It may take you more than a few minutes to figure out if the pair of Christian Louboutin shoes was a style that was actually made, but for these ones, it was just a super quick Google search, and I figured out that these were the Pigalle flat, and it was something that the designer actually made. So once you know that, let's get into the quick tips that you can use to quickly authenticate these shoes and see if they are real or fake. The next thing you can do once you figured out the style name of the Christian Louboutin shoes, and this should only take you just a few seconds, is to check the sole of the shoe, and you see this is a counterfeit pair. So you're seeing here a red sole, but it is wearing to black in places. You can see that, and I will move it just even a little bit closer so the camera focuses on it. It has black rather than beige. So if I had an authentic pair of Christian Louboutin shoes, it would be wearing to beige on the sole because it's wearing to leather rather than whatever this is made out of, probably a synthetic material. So that should only take you a few seconds to check. It's so easy to check that. But do check to make sure it's wearing to beige rather than black on the sole. If it's wearing to beige, it's much more likely to be authentic. The next authentication tip I have for you is to check the L on the Louboutin on the stamp on the top of the shoe and on the bottom of the shoe. So if I show you the top of the shoe, the stamp on the inside of the sole, you can see here the L there is pointed. So it has like, I would call this like kind of, it looks kind of like a leaf. It has a point on the top and a point on the bottom, and the L looks like that. When I turn this shoe over and look at the back, you can see that the L is more curved, it's not angled. Okay, it's just barely showing up here because of the glare on the sole. But you can see the L here is more rounded rather than pointed on the bottom of the shoe, which is a sign that the pair is fake rather than real. So I'll go over the stamping in just a second, but make sure to check that L, that both sides are pointed and it looks more like a leaf rather than a loop. The next tip is to check these stamps, obviously, on the top and the bottom of the shoes. So there should be a stamp on these shoes on the top and on the bottom, as I just kind of showed when I was showing the L. And what you can do if you are going to resell these or keep them for yourself even and you want to wear only authentic things, is you can look at examples of what the stamps look like. I did like a search on Poshmark and found items that were authentic that had been sold and compared the stamps on mine to the stamps on those. So if I pull up the front stamp again and show that on camera, obviously this pair is not authentic, but you want to check the front stamp, and then you want to turn the shoe over and check the sole stamp as well. And it's not showing up extremely well in my camera, but make sure to check both of those. This is a crazy pair because I would call it more of a super fake because it does have both stamps. A lot of the fake pairs I found in the past don't have a stamp on the sole, which is probably a sign that they're not authentic. So just make sure to check the stamp on the bottom and the top of the shoes. You can find example photos on Poshmark or eBay or wherever you're selling. Obviously the best comparison would be if you just owned a pair that was authentic and was sitting around that you could compare to, but I don't have that luxury and I don't really wear heels anyway, so I don't have any of this brand of shoe. So I just looked on Poshmark to do some comparison photos to the stamps, and my stamps are off to what is authentic. The next tip, and this really goes for any luxury brand, check the overall construction of the shoe and make sure that the stitching is even, that the sole is fashioned on in an even fashion, and that the leather is really solid and not made out of a synthetic material rather than actual leather. So a telltale sign of this pair of shoes is if you look at the side here, and I think it'd probably be easier to see from this side, and you look at the sole, you can see it's just not, the sole is not fastened on in a really even solid construction. There's all these bubbles and it just looks like it was crudely done. If you look at a real pair of Christian Louboutins, the construction will be flawless. I mean, this pair of shoes, if it was authentic, retailed for over $1,000. So if they were real shoes, the construction would be flawless and not look like this. So just check that. That can be a quick 30-second check just to see, does it feel like the real thing or does it feel like a fake? And the last tip I have, if all else fails and you just aren't sure, bring these shoes or whatever the luxury item is home, and you can use a site called realauthentication.com, which has been highly recommended to me to know for sure if the item is real or fake. You don't have to send it in, you just send them a few photos and they can authenticate it and tell you if it's real or fake, and then you have the peace of mind on knowing for sure from the experts if your item is real. I actually did that with these shoes just because I wanted to know when I was curious, and it did come back as inauthentic or a counterfeit item. Their turnaround is usually less than a day, and so it's really, really quick and simple, but you would have to bring the item home unless you think it'd be at the thrift store the next time you go. Take a few pictures and you send them in. I will leave the link to Real Authentication just down below in the description. This is not sponsored. I've just been really happy with their products and it's just been great to use it. I used it on my Chanel bag and now on this, and it just saves a lot of time and a lot of hours trying to spend time authenticating. That's it for my quick tips to authenticate Christian Louboutin. I do want to say I am 100% not an expert on this. I did have one of my friends, her name is Morgan, give me a little bit of help with authenticating this pair of shoes, and I just wanted to share what I learned with you, a little bit of history about the brand. So hopefully if you ever find it, they are really, really good sellers if you find an authentic pair, but hopefully if you find it, you feel comfortable authenticating them or going to Real Authentication to submit an authentication request. These shoes do sell for like $400 this particular pair if they were authentic, but unfortunately I don't sell counterfeit items, so after this video I'm just going to throw these in the trash. That's just not something that I choose to do. I know others do, it's just not for me. So anyways, I hope this was helpful. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want me to do more authentication videos, just let me know in the comments down below, or if I missed a tip, let me know that as well. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye.